Don't forget, folks, you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, basically wherever you can listen to a podcast except for SoundCloud, you can find us there. So make sure that you check us out. Review us on Apple Podcasts if you can. Help us boost those numbers up and get people looking at us more often. All right. You can also follow us on Twitter at PTP_podcast. And those are all the grounds I need to cover. And then we're going to go ahead and jump in. My name is James Portis. To my left, we have the man who, like myself, is very enslaved to From Software's newest release of Elden Ring. But I am actually farther than him. Ha ha ha. And this man over here losing sleep over it, which I find hilarious. We have Travis Tucker. How you doing today, sir?
Love how you talk shit about being further than me in a free roaming game.
But hey, I have gone further in the progression of what you're supposed to do in the free roam game than you. So ha 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 ha.
Maybe you don't even know. Like
you literally need to beat the one motherfucker to get the thing to move on to the end of the game.
Or I can complete the whole map.
Oh my God. Anyway, to my right, we have the woman who apparently has revealed to us this evening she is obsessed with capybaras. We have Mary. How you doing this evening?
With capybaras isn't new. And wow, I have a lot of fan art in here.
You have a lot of what art?
Saucy fan art.
Saucy
I'm clearing
fan
pictures.
Art.
I'm clearing pictures off my phone because like I never go back and look at it.
Have you made it to the Legend of Korra section yet?
Oh, sweetheart, we are well past the Legend of Korra section.
I mean,
God.
Travis, as now that you've grown more accustomed to the gayness that is me and Mary, you should know by now that like the gay nerd community just like generates the saucy fan art to the highest degree. Like the amount of like Bruce and Clark fan art I see on the daily is ridiculous. Like,
oh my God. When Victoria got she got another piercing in one of her because she has like 40 of them, and we went to the tattoo party done, and I go back there, just with her because I like making fun of her because she gets nervous around the needles, and I look over on the wall of this tattoo parlor. There's just a picture of like Bruce and Clark in their costumes, like rolling around on the floor, all gay shit, all gay like. And that. the dude giving Victoria the saying looks, like could be a Hell's Angel.
Love that.
I was sitting here going,
fantastic.
Right. Actually, I still have the picture.
If you have that, please drop that in chat.
Oh, what you're saying is that there's a picture of Bruce and Clark doing the gay shit while Victoria was being pierced by essentially Midnighter.
Unfortunately, they're not in the picture. It's just
that's tragic.
Okay, have you guys played League of Legends?
Somewhat.
A lot more than I would like to admit.
My man is out of himself, but yeah.
Dude, I played at launch. Nothing's more embarrassing than that.
I just can't do like top down angles. Otherwise, I'd probably be addicted to it. See, like if Epic Games wouldn't have closed Paragon, we'd be okay. But like, it's fine.
Bro, I felt that in my soul. I was a Fang Mao main, and then they closed it for Fortnite, and now
I was a crunch man. I was a crunch main because like I had a fucking real steel boner, but like that shit was life, and I'm so sad they canceled my shit.
Cool until you realize that gamers have to count.
I didn't need that in my Discord feed, but thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and jump into this now that we've been shown the idea of Jar Jar Binks and Jinx from League of Legends being combined, which is horrifying. So for the first major thing, and I figured I would address this topic specifically because for me it resulted in me taking a break from the podcast, is DC's announcement of the death of Justice League and the upcoming Dark Crisis, both by Joshua Williamson. And I will be the first one to admit, when I saw this, I was pissed because because granted, on paper, Joshua Williamson came out with the Dark Crisis announcement and said, "Hey, this is an event about like the next generation. There's gonna be a lot of focus on like John and the new Wonder Girl and Jace Fox and like Aqualad and all this other stuff." And then like trying to show like Nightwing and his group of next generation people doing the thing and trying to save the universe and shit. And I was like, okay. And he even said it may be a crisis, but we're not gonna like break the multiverse again and shit. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I'm just like, what really started the bullshit was me getting pissed on Twitter that we're killing Jon Stewart and having Hal Jordan be the one motherfucker on the cover of the book grieving over the rest of the Justice League. And I'm just like, can we just swap the bodies of the Green Lantern casket? Please. Can we please swap the bodies of the Green Lantern casket? And all these fake ass motherfuckers on Twitter are going, "Oh, you're just racist against Hal Jordan." First of all,
James pissed off the white boys.
Bro, it happens almost every time that I speak about Hal Jordan. And we already did a whole episode about it. I'm not gonna keep harping on it for too long. But if you really want to come in my Twitter, and this is my final stance on this, like I'll keep doing it. You're just gonna get blocked because if you really have the modicum of brain cells just to try to say Hal Jordan is a compelling character, then you can go into your fridge, grab a piece of white bread, take a Sharpie and draw a Green Lantern symbol on it, and enjoy your character. Because that man is as compelling as stale white bread. Not even just a race joke, but literally he is that compelling. Because I have never read a story of like that, like any Green Lantern story that Jeff Johns has ever written. I could literally sub in any other Green Lantern and it'd be more compelling. I could even I've even made the joke before. You could make Guy Gardner be the center of the Green Lantern universe, and I don't even like Guy Gardner like that. I still find it more enjoyable than this crap. Like, I genuinely don't even like his ginger ass, but I still find it more compelling than Hal Jordan. So,
well, to be totally honest, the only time Hal, at least from my experience, is compelling is when he's fighting something that seems to be out of his weight class. Outside of that, as a character, he's literally like hotshot shit talking ace pilot, and that's it. There's like nothing I give a fuck about him or Carol. Even I do like the events that he's in a lot of the time, but like I don't know. For me, yeah, maybe it is a race thing because the black one is more interesting. I'm just saying.
It's not even a race thing because I'm flat out like, yo, I would read a Guy Gardner book because at least he's a sassy white man. Like, I would even like, what's his face? The dude who, Baz. I don't even like Baz like that, but like, at least he had a good arc in the DC Rebirth where he learned to put the gun down and be a real hero. Like, there is more compelling stories that can be told with these characters besides white man Hal Jordan. Like, sorry.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, when whoever they bring in for this new Justice League, we could easily fill that witty white guy role.
they're filling it with Far Sector Green Lantern.
Yo,
I don't even know her damn name, but like
I need her so much. I think her name is Sojourner or something. I forget.
Yeah, Sojourner or something like that. Yeah. So you know, like that's my last little bit on that. But in terms of this event, and I'm gonna let Mary give her a piece on it because she's the historian here. From what I can tell and from what I've read about the event, it's very much like apparently Pariah's coming back and he's trying to use the powers of darkness to delete Earth Zero because Earth Zero is trying to corrupt the multiverse. And I'm like, what? And it just so like while I'm okay with another event on paper, and we'll talk about this more toward the end. I really feel like DC just needs to sit down draw out their plans and stop trying to just fill in the gap between now and future state, because that's going to get boring really quickly. But that's just my 2 cents. Mary, other than you tweeting on the panel Twitter, how do you feel about this?
Well, first of all, I just kind of want to bounce back to the whole Hal Jordan thing real quick. And admittedly, I am a Hal Jordan fan, but he kind of runs into the same problem that Barry Aaand does, where he almost, in a sense, has outlived his usefulness.
Preach!
And granted, that's most superheroes, is that we're getting to that point where a lot of them are just slowly starting to become very stale.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue, in my Green Lantern bubble, and I would honestly find myself ostracized for this a lot, but I would argue that Hal Jordan was at his most interesting during Emerald Twilight.
I'll do you one better. That man was more compelling as a villain than he was as like anything. Like
as
he was
Parallax.
As Parallax, because it was before Jeff Johns chose to rewrite it and make it an evil force. They dead ass had said, "Yo, Hal Jordan is a villain." He even had a humbling moment where he like went somewhat not villain with 0 Hour and tried to fix things, which was kind of cool. But he was better when he was dead as Spectre, because at least he filled a role that Jim Corrigan was bored doing. Like, yeah. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And like I said, this is also where comic book dialogue gets a little tricky, because fans seldom. I'm kind of gonna drag most superhero comic readers here. Fans seldom want anything new. They want the comics that they remember as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And this, admittedly, this expands to literally all facets of comic fandom. Like, I'm not just taking pot shots at old white guys here. It's quite literally all of us. Is that we've gotten so used to the same formulaic plots and out that that's what we get used to. Mm-hmm. And, you know, how many times have we had to do, let me use Batman as an example. You know, how many times have we had to keep amping up the stakes to the point of stupidity because Batman needs to fight the Joker? When you can go back even as recent as the early 2000s and get some genuinely very compelling detective stories with Batman that, you know, granted, we hadn't seen since, 1939, where he shoots a vampire. That is still the best Batman story ever published. Yeah, no, he shoots a vampire in the 30s, and it's hilarious.
I mean, I would argue with I'm a goddamn Batman.
No, stop that.
I'm lying.
Right now.
I'm lying. Like,
stop that.
And Hal Jordan is one of those characters that is hitting that wall sooner than others. You know, Barry Allen is probably really the first to kind of hit the wall in terms of going stale. And now I'm not saying that this makes them bad characters or anything, not at all. But these are very niche power sets. Yeah. And let's be honest here, speedsters, sure, they have their villains, but they're not tremendously useful on the Justice League because you have Superman right there.
Also, and, when you have someone who can like run the speed of light, they kind of just break everything. So like Superman and Flash specifically kind of break everything half the time in stories.
Because look at the Flash TV show. Every season, it's always, oh my god, he can run slightly faster than Barry. Whatever will we do? And then Barry runs faster.
Run, Barry, run!
They're constantly jumping the shark on that show.
They really are. But like,
it's like when Savitar came out, a perfect example of what Mary was just saying in that show. Like, it was literally like, who's this blue guy that runs so fast that he runs through time every time he fights with Barry? Oh, It's just Barry. Okay?
And the worst part was, they literally took a character who was like the god of speed in the comics, and they're just like, he's just Barry. I'm like, what? Do you know how
How
much
do you
cooler that would have
do-
been if Barry had to fight a god? Like,
How do you do Savitar dirtier than how they did him in Flash Rebirth?
Oof, oof, oof. So it's like, and Mary makes a great point. And the thing about it is, I will admit that there's times where I will say I have my favorites, and but at the same time, I'm very much like, we need to see a progression with comic books, but they will never do it because of the fact they're afraid of sales going down. They're trying. DC's trying its damnedest right now with Future State, and there's a lot of new generation readers that want that Future State Justice League to be front and center and to have those adventures. But like, it's never gonna happen. And I'll be 100% honest with you. It's never gonna happen. As much as we want that, as much as we want a black Batman, a Brazilian Wonder Woman, a bisexual white man Superman, a non-binary Flash, and I think pansexual Aquawoman. Like, as cool as that sounds, it's never gonna happen because the main chunk of the market is still cis-het white men. It's never gonna happen unless it's a digital-only exclusive book of like an alternate universe kind of thing, like how we had Justice League 3000 for a while. It's never gonna happen because I make that joke all the time of what happens when we're 100 years from now and Miles Morales is still not the mainline Spider-Man and it's Miguel's turn. That's gonna happen because these comic book companies refuse to go forward.
Say something that's potentially going to get me crucified.
No,
Get
Mary.
it.
Oh
Get
no.
it.
Oh no.
And admittedly, I'm taking a pretty big pot shot at, if you will, our side of the issue. It's not, and Marvel and DC and, other superhero publishers, this is kind of the thing they need to learn. And even as fans consuming the media, it's not enough to just stuff someone with a minority identity in a comic book.
Yes.
It's not
Fair.
enough. Like, sure,
Fair.
you can have a black Batman, but what are you going to do differently? How are we going to make this character genuinely compelling? You can have like a lesbian Wonder Woman, and like it feels like props. And unfortunately, looking at this new Justice League lineup and knowing I'm not the biggest fan of Joshua Williamson. I'm not at all. And I am fully expecting him to bungle this.
It's entirely possible. And now, granted, will I admit that Tom Taylor has knocked it out of the park with John Kent? I will wholeheartedly admit that he has knocked it out of the park with that specifically, because he's done well with the writing of that. And Mary might be disagreeing. Ooh, okay, we'll get to that in a second. But in general, I'm of the belief that I agree with her to an extent, because when Future State first came out, that was great. We got those symbols of the future, but then we saw things like the DC Pride book come out, and we had that solo story of the non-binary Flash coming in doing their thing. But we know nothing about them. They were only put in the book because of their first appearance and the community knowing they were non-binary. Like, it's the same issue we have with all the LGBT characters at DC in general, that unless you're being propped up to be the next big thing like John is right now, it's not going to be front and center. Like, Tim Drake that came out as bi, like 4 or 6 months ago? Only had a couple issues here and there since. Nothing big, no new Robin 3 book or nothing like that. No Batwoman book currently going on, despite Batwoman TV show going on. No Midnight Earn Apollo book. They're writing as backup to Superman and the Authority, despite Superman never being a part of the Authority before this. Sorry, that's my one little bitch about that for a second. There's these little pocket things of like, we're not getting true diversity. we're only getting these little like, hey, look, it's the thing you wanted, but like it might not stay along for long if you don't buy it, and it's just.
Well, there's also what the thing to consider, like that there are times where we have opportunities for good diversity. Like I'll use Naomi for an example. Like
you better when you walking on eggshells there, boy. You better be careful.
well, Naomi was a great opportunity for representation, and she is great representation, but where's her spotlight?
Oh,
I mean, she
Bendis
does
is
have
busy.
she has the TV show.
Which
I mean-
I still haven't watched. I'm like refused on principle because there's no content to watch.
That's
they have-
exactly the point. Like I like that they have a TV show,
okay.
but like
What are they going to build off of? I see what you're getting at.
yeah,
well,
like
that was my argument like months ago when we talked about Naomi, where it was like you thought Black Lightning was bad being strapped for content, only having like 3-4 runs of a book in his entire existence, and then a little bit of outsider shit because of like him and Thunder. You really think Naomi's gonna have a good show with only one volume and now a second volume because Bendis rushed it out in time for the show? Oh no.
yeah, they're gonna be winging it very quickly with that show, and I think because of that, I mean, it could work. They could gamble and win. I really, honestly, that would be cool if they did, to have a whole dynamic where the comic kind of has to follow the show. That would be a really different paradigm shift for comics in general. But it would be cooler if we could have these characters fleshed out, and then we wouldn't have a need for stuffing a black man in a bat suit. You know what I mean?
Oh, can I mention something that
Go for
really
it.
bothers me?
Go for it.
I was thinking about, the Justice League lineup, and we were talking about that. Why is it that all of like the diversity and, people with minority identity, why do they all have to be fucking teenagers? Like,
I mean, that's the same.
I'm sorry.
That's just, no, you're fine.
bothers me.
Yeah, you're fine.
It's just like, I get it that, they're trying to, and, DC and Marvel, but they're trying to kind of push more towards that teen, young, like, mid teen to very early 20s market that they haven't really pushed for quite a while, because both DC and Marvel have had like books or like targeted towards that age range do really well through the Scholastic sales. Oh my god, I promise I can talk. But we've had those books sell really well in those markets that they want to try and push for more for that mark. And it's just, why do they all have to be teenagers?
Here's my answer to that, because I've been debating that for a while now. Because recently I went into a Books a Million to look and see if there was any like good LGBT love stories or just like any gay fantasy books, period, because they don't really exist. And I happened to be walking out in disappointment, and there was a young adult gay like story, like brand new, just published on the wall. It's in my room. I'll grab it and put it up on Twitter later. And I asked my roommate about it, and her response was, it's probably because the next generation is the one pushing for that content. While granted, we're still in that millennial age of like, we've been begging for that content for years. It from a publisher / company standpoint, they're seeing the how you doing fellow kids argument of, hey, these kids want that shit, so let's give them that shit. Which, okay, cool, but me and Mary and God knows who else have been banging on the door like, where's our Midnighter content? Where's our Aqualad content? Where's our Batwoman content? For years now, and yet our stuff has gone unanswered. So
I am now, unfortunately for my sanity, 30 years old.
God damn it.
Hey, I hit 30 the other day.
Yep, so Travis, you wake up and then you have that feeling of, oh god, no.
I still got 4 years. I'm okay with it.
Like, I'm actually an adult now.
Right. I always told myself I'd have my life together by the time I was 30, and 30 is here, and I'm like, fuck.
It feels so weird being the younger person in this room, despite me feeling
But
so
it's
much
just,
older than both of you.
and it's just that I don't know. I feel like at this point I was kind of talking myself in circles, and obviously having like, queer teenagers represented in comic books, that is objectively a good thing.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be all there is.
Well,
And
here's
admittedly,
the one thing.
sometimes I feel really fucking uncomfortable reading some of the books.
Why is that?
Because like they're written for teenagers, so it's just kind of, I don't know, there's just something that feels off about it in my head.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
mean, here's one thing, because like I remember back when this new era of DC kicked off last year or the year before last with they did that story in Infinite Frontier about Alan Scott coming out and like to his kids, and that was cool, but it's very obvious that the older generation isn't their focus. They only did the Alan Scott thing to basically go, hey, he's back in the continuity, and we're gonna follow up with that whole Earth 2 thing we did before, but like, don't expect him to constantly be around, which that felt fucked up. But in general, I think the one thing that needs to be said in general, just for like nerd media in general, is like the gays aren't only the kids, if that makes sense. Like, we can have adult LGBTQIA plus content that isn't just sex. Like now granted, does saucy material work sometimes? Dope,
or
yeah. But
God help me, like queer content written by and for straight people. It stresses
The
me
rest of
out.
it,
just no. But yeah, no. So like, I feel where Mary's at. But to be honest, I think if there's ever a way where the Justice League Future State book can exist, we need to shift the narrative away from only sales matter, or only print sales matter rather, and focus on saying, hey, these books are for the next generation. We're gonna stick by it and push it, because otherwise, we're gonna see a bunch of pre-orders canceled, and nothing's gonna matter. Because I remember recently, I went in to get my pull list. Shout out to River City Comics, and I was like, "Yo, what happened to my pull? None of my Aquaman books are in here." And they said, "Oh, your pre-order got deleted because there was no other pre-order, so our system messed up." And I was like, damn. So you're telling me the story of Jackson Hyde taking over as Aquaman, as a black gay man, isn't getting support? Huh. It's almost like I called it, that if you guys don't pre-order, it's gonna happen. But it's not gonna happen, which sucks. Like, freaking, like we have like these creative teams busting their asses to give us this content that we begged and begged and begged for so long. Like, Brandon Thomas is writing his ass off with Aquaman coming up right now, and yet no one cares. It sucks. So that's our little bit on the issue.
One more.
The issue. Oh, one more. Go for it.
Just one more. I'm sorry. Just bear with me here for a second. And what bothers me is that the queer content that existed in, the very late 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the early 2010s, like, a lot of it was very risky stuff. And I don't mean risky in terms of, it was just, it was up in the air about how it would actually do. Because, especially during like the 90s and whatnot, talking about, queer issues was still pretty taboo. I mean, we had the Defense of Marriage Act signed in the US in the mid 1990s. So a lot of it was just very intense storytelling, and the way that so many of these writers kind of took them out of the bubble of just being a gay character and creating these beautifully complex people. I feel like we're almost, in a sense, stepping back into the, okay, this person is bisexual, click, check that box, that's all they ever need to be. This person is non-binary, check, that's all they ever need to be. I feel like we're not getting who they are as a person. We're just getting the, look at all of these people that are queer in this book,
Yeah.
And what bothers me is that these kind of books, and I'm horrendously cynical this evening, so I apologize for that, but that are little more than gimmicks, are getting credit for work that other books busted their asses for years ago.
Oh, speak on it.
Because I saw a lot of discourse going on about, teen teams. God, I hate that. My stutter picks up when there's too much alliteration. But, superhero teams comprised of teenagers, let me put it to you that way. About how they're all kind of, the line of like, okay, one queer teenager per team kind of a thing. And I was witnessing an interaction going back and forth talking about how this was revolutionary and absolutely groundbreaking that queer issues were being talked about in a book with teenage superheroes. And it made part of me just like die a little bit inside, because this is the kind of crap that Runaways was crucified for in the late 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So many people were so angry about Carolina, being a lesbian, poking at Nico being bisexual. Granted, it has not aged well, I will be the first to admit that, but Zavin's gender identity issues, that was almost completely uncharted territory in comic books, outside of, maybe what Chris Claremont had been doing with Mystique.
Yeah.
And it's just like, those were genuinely very risky endeavors to take. And these were conversations that the larger audience didn't want to have. And so I feel like we're taking a step back to, okay, this character gay, but let me list all the reasons why they are more, like, their sexual identity does not define them. And I feel like we're regressing back to their sexuality should be most important thing about them. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, because I've been of the belief, and the thing about it is we're almost like scooting a line where it sounds like we don't want those characters to exist. No, because we're not gators. We're not fucking stupid. We're not gators. We're very much saying we want people like us. Like, you literally have my gay ass and Mary's gay ass sitting here yelling at you saying we want gay characters to exist. We want trans characters, non-binary characters, people of color, everyone to exist. But look at what happened. Like, I'll go back to this fucking milestone to the day I die of what happened with Black Panther and the crew. That existed, and then nobody supported it. And then now we're dealing with situations like Mary saying, where we finally got these characters, but their only existence is they're non-binary. Which, cool, yay, somebody is going to embrace that and love that, that's great. But then they're gonna ask in like a year or two, when they're finally going, hey, like, where's that Jess Quick book we asked for? Where's that Jess Quick book? They're gonna start wondering, what is there more about Jess Quick besides that they're non-binary?
Like, have you even seen their face yet?
Yes, in the Pride issue. In the Pride issue, we saw their face.
Okay.
Because they were on a date with Andy, and they had a hoodie on. So like.
Oh, and something that I want to point out before somebody starts coming at me about the Pride issue. They're gimmicks. Let's be honest here. They're just gimmicks. Like, that doesn't make them bad. I think they're cute, and I'm glad that we've gotten to a point where we can have cutesy gimmick books like that. But those should be reserved for that. I feel like the gimmicky stuff should be reserved for like the Pride issue, and not the sole focus of all of these new characters. Like.
Well, here's even a good one real quick. Everybody for so long wanted Dreamer from Supergirl to be in a comic. They didn't just go, yo, Dreamer's in Supergirl's book now, or yo, Dreamer has her own book. They waited for Nicole Ames to be available for the DC Pride book, and it had her tag along to get credit as a writer. Maybe she contributed, maybe she didn't. We have no idea. Oh, she wrote it from scratch? Okay, cool. It wasn't just a credit? Great. We love that. So she wrote it, but they haven't asked her to do shit since that happened. They haven't asked her for a Dreamer ongoing or a mini-series or anything. It's just, hey, you get to show up for the Pride issue and nothing else. And that's at the core of what we're bitching about is they're only getting pulled up for the gimmick, or they're only being seen as gimmicks to attract the younger audience.
And ironically, it is hilariously embarrassing for DC to do this. Mm-hmm. It is hilariously embarrassing for them. I mean, this kind of... I started my
first topic,
today, so I am a bitch.
This rant needed to happen, because me and Travis bitched about the Hal Jordan thing, and this needed to happen too. So, this kind
of gimmicky shit is what I expect from Marvel.
Ooh,
I know that's
talk that shit though. Talk that shit
because honest here, prior to the Disney buyout, there were two properties in all of Marvel that actually mattered: Spider-Man and the X-Men.
Yeah, you're right.
and if you look at some of the most dynamic storytelling in Marvel during their publication history, where does it all fall between Spider-Man and the X-Men? Yes, there are some great Cap stories from the 80s. Yes, there are great... No, there are no great Avengers stories from the 80s.
No, there's not. There really isn't.
Avengers 200, that's all I'm going to say.
Literally, there's nothing. But let's go ahead and move on from there.
Hold on. I had something for that. Since you guys are laying out the red carpet and shit. The shitty thing about it is it's as now saying it on the air, hey,
motherfucker, yes!
Out a non-binary person, it's hard to find something I relate to on that level, but I see characters to me that seem obvious, like Metamorpho, for example.
So proud of you, motherfucker! I scooted the line earlier. Let's go!
Hey, Travis, I have a really big smile on my face.
There you go.
War, baby, let's go. Let's go. Okay.
Also, more thing, it's super embarrassing for DC to do this because you published fucking Bombshells of all comics.
Right, Bombshells was queer heaven. Come on now.
How can you?
You know what?
You know what they should do? They should take the same universe as Bombshells and just do that, but with men.
Yes, that bro.
Just gather up all of. Just make everyone gay.
Bro, I remember before I came out, and I remember seeing the Bombshells variant of Aquaman and the sailor cap and the little map on his chest. I was like, yes. So yes, give me Bombshells gay men. I would, bro. I need that. Bro, no,
he's in the Bombshells book, but he's a himbo sailor who simps for Mira. Which, admittedly, is a great role for him. Yes. But I feel like if anyone in the Justice League would be the archetypal himbo, it would be Aquaman.
Yes. But no, now that we've had some great moments himbo Aquaman would be great. But now that we've had some announcements and some bitching from both sides of the court, the queer side and the black side, let's go ahead and dive into some other topics. The other big one that really came out while we were gone, and that's sort of in the works, is that all of the Marvel Netflix shows have officially left Netflix, and they are going to be moving to Disney Plus at the end of the month. And I knew this was going to happen sooner or later. I felt it in my bones, especially after, and obviously it's been a month or so, 2 months since Spider-Man: Homecoming and Hawkeye aired. So we're just going to come out and say it. Daredevil is officially in the canon of MCU now because of Spider-Man and because of Hawkeye. So deal with it. But in general, with this announcement, I find myself very excited for the future because now that Charlie Cox is back in the canon, Vincent D'Onofrio is back in the canon, it opens these doors for these characters to return, and now with the Doctor Strange trailer officially showing or officially confirming the idea that Professor X might be coming like into the fold. I'm really excited to see what like MCU officially does with like Daredevil in the canon and stuff like that, because there's rumors Daredevil might make a cameo in She-Hulk because of the lawyer thing, which I would be so fucking happy about. But like, I don't know. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to rewatch all these shows on Disney Plus, because I haven't actually. I never finished season 3 of Daredevil, and I never got to season 2 of Luke Cage or season 2 of Iron Fist because I just was so fucking busy back then.
You're not missing much on season 2 of Luke Cage.
Really?
Really?
I'm kind of sad. I was excited for Bushmaster, but all right. But no. So, Travis, how you feel about these shows going to Disney Plus?
I messaged in chat doing dad things, so you're gonna have to fill me in and then edit this part.
Netflix, all the Netflix Marvel shows have left Netflix and are going to Disney Plus.
Oh, okay. No, I heard about that. I think that's a really good switch, though. I think the Punisher show ending up on Disney Plus is a really like huge shift in the type of content that's going to be on that platform.
I mean, Moon Knight comes out in a month.
The scene between Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, that's going to be on Disney Plus.
Yeah, where they're super strength fucking that's going to be on Disney Plus. You know what I mean? Like yeah, this is different. You know what I mean? The most like sex and murder you get out of Disney Plus right now is in Star Wars, and I can tell you that the only sex is Anakin and Padme apparently in that whole series. So everything else is child murder with laser swords. So
can we pour one out for the fact that Natalie Portman was able to successfully escape Star Wars?
Hey man, I still say Natalie Portman should come back and do some early Padme shit. Like, it's nice having.
I don't think she's going to.
She did that SNL joke, which was fucking hilarious. But like, I'll be the first one to say it's nice having the woman who voiced Padme on Clone Wars do the narration of those books that came out recently, the Queen's Wrath books. Those books are amazing. But like, it'd be nice to see Natalie Portman actually respect where she came from and stuff like that. That's just me.
Do you want to know my one piece of like big Star Wars trivia?
What?
Oh.
Keira Knightley is in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, she is. She plays one of the Padme's alternates.
Yep. Sorry, I like Star Wars.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
So I know shit have been confusing those two actresses pretty much my entire life. Now I know why.
Okay, so, Mary, how you feel about the Netflix shows besides the like sexy portions of it coming to Netflix, coming to Disney Plus?
I mean, like, it's to be expected that, you know, Disney is a giant, scary, self-cannibalizing machine, and but you know, I'm not surprised. I don't know why people are angry, because I've seen a lot of anger, and it's like this really was to be expected that they wouldn't want the rights to the shows.
Right.
I'll be honest, I'm not expecting as many cameos as people are clamoring for. I'm really not, because I've noticed with the MCU, they don't particularly like to retread the same ground. Like, sure, we might get like a Daredevil cameo in She-Hulk, but don't expect a new Daredevil show.
Right, like it was big that Kingpin's now like it was a villain in Hawkeye. That was some big shit. So like it's a miracle we got that alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's not unfounded, or I should say, to want another hallway scene. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, like them hallway scenes were iconic to the point they like butchered them in future releases. But like, it would be nice to see some future awesomeness when it comes to that. But
right, or even like, and here's a really obscure one. Give me some Davos the Steel Serpent in my Shang-Chi a little bit. You know, like just little things like that I'd be cool with. But I don't know. They can't just leave them to be in the coffin forever. That would suck. That'd be terrible.
I don't know, man. Like for what I'm seeing, like them already introducing this new Asian Iron Fist has me thinking like everybody but Finn Jones is gonna be able to make a cameo, or like Finn Jones is gonna do what fucking Mark Ruffalo's doing and hand the fist to somebody else, and it's gonna be like you're done. So it could go anyway, honestly, but I'm excited. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. So the one of the other big announcements that came out this past week that I noticed was that Ant-Man is getting a new 4-issue miniseries called Ant-Man Today, Tomorrow, and Yesterday, where we're getting a brand new future Ant-Man, sort of like a 2099 kind of thing, but like I don't know if it's the correct year. It's gonna be written by Al Ewing, and it's gonna tell the whole 60 years of Ant-Man's story. And I'm concerned. Like, if anybody could tell Hank's history and not in an eloquent way that Marvel will tolerate, it's Al Ewing. But I'm concerned.
At this point, like, I don't know. Like, they are never going to be able to move past that.
We're not. We're not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
the fact
as bad as I wanted to.
The fact that the movies, discounting Michael Doug, all that. But like the fact that the movies ditched Hank to make Scott the primary Ant-Man, like, and it's but at no other point have we seen, the legacy fully take the place in the initial version of the character. Really, we haven't seen that at any other point in the MCU. Like,
right.
They didn't do Old Man Peter and start with Miles, kind of a thing. They didn't do.
Which that would be really fucking cool.
Well, personally, I think that might have to do with kind of Paul Rudd Ant-Man's theme in the MCU, because he's like everyone's got a character, right? You got Thor, that's like the jock that needs to get a fucking clue, constantly needs to get a fucking clue. You got Cap, who's always fighting for the greater good, and then you have single dad. Wait, what? Hold on. What is this?
It's the Keira Knightley picture.
See, they did.
See, now his brain can't focus.
This is why.
See,
okay.
she was the body double.
This is why. This is why I have this, because I remember being like, "Oh man, Natalie Portman's in like everything." God damn it!
Let's continue.
You're welcome.
I lost my train of thought.
Talking about Scott being the single dad.
Yeah, he's the single dad of the MCU. That's his whole thing. He goes to the quantum realm in the first one because the idea was he was going to save his daughter. And then the first thing he does when he comes back from the snap is go see her. You know what I mean? I feel like I don't know shit about Scott in the comics, so maybe that's his thing in the comics too.
It kind of is, yeah. That's like the one thing he gives a fuck about, like, is his daughter.
But that seems to be the only thing that gets him to do some, like, all right, let's save the world kind of shit in both his own movie and the Avengers one.
See, my biggest thing, and what always kind of irritated me, was Jan and Hank, regardless of the issues at hand, are founding members of the Avengers. Yes, having Nat and Clint there at the beginning was dope. Like, trying to, like, have them fill the gap that was Clinton not Clinton. Having them fill the gap that is Hank and Jan, cool. But if you want an elegant way to address the fucking issue of Hank and Jan, Earth's Mightiest Heroes already answered it for you. You could have done it. And especially Or you could have just ignored it. You could have just had Hank confront like what ended up being a very well done rewrite by Jeremy Whitley was confronting Hank's mental illness and not have him hit his wife and just move on. And granted, that was an artist mistake that was drawn up in bullshit, whatever. But at the same time,
in Whitley's book, they do address the fact that Hank hit her.
Which is cool. That wasn't what I was saying. I'm saying that, like, I'm saying.
Okay. I thought you were saying that Jeremy wrote that out.
Oh no! I'm saying like the idea that Jeremy brought in the concept of Hank having a mental illness. That's great. Why not keep utilizing that and put that on the main screen and just not have him hit Jan? Just have him be super in his lab, having like post-it notes everywhere, like to talk about his mental illness and confront it. Have Hank be a main player, maybe not have Michael Douglas play him or like because Paul Rudd could have pulled it off, but like he's better as
Can I say something snarky?
Go for it.
That would be too comprehend. Like that would be too much of a complex story for the MCU.
Oof. I mean, yeah. Somebody's
gonna come for my ass for that, but I had to. It was there.
No,
somebody had to take
in your defense, the most complex, maybe racial diversity related story is literally Sam Wilson being like, "We gotta get along, everyone. Come on now." And like,
the worst part is that whole show, man. I still like. I love that. I love Falcon and Winter Soldier to death. But god damn it, them.
But I also hate it.
Like we gotta make him Bubba Gump from fucking Forrest Gump. Make him be from Louisiana. That motherfucker is from Harlem.
Louisiana.
That man is from Harlem. That still irritates me, but whatever. But no, in general, I am excited for the return of or at least the acclamation of the MCU stuff, or the Netflix stuff into the MCU. But I agree with Mary that there won't be 1,000,001 cameos. There might be some good shit, but not a lot of good shit. So, meh. Okay. Now, now for the main thing that I wanted to talk about this evening is the current state of comic books.
Bad. It's bad.
Case closed.
I hold up. What I wanted to do, I wasn't ready for that. But no, like, okay. So, obviously the industry is still trying to recover from what happened with COVID-19. But in general, we are sitting at a place now where DC does not know what the fuck is going on. Like, they're trying to let Joshua Williams seem the last of their, like, super brilliant people who has a lot of ideas do one more cool idea brain thing. And then, like, after that, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Like, then you have Marvel, who I legitimately looked at Marvel solicitations for April, and I don't know what the fuck Marvel is doing. Like, I was like, oh, hey, a Hulkling and Wiccan book in space. But then, like, oh god, John Romita Jr. is returning full-time to Spider-Man. What the fuck?
Yo, what? Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay, so, like, no disrespect, but he is my second least favorite artist.
Oh no! That was my point. I have a vehemently hatred of John. Oh god, I have a vehement hatred of John Romita Jr. And you want to know why? Let me present evidence number one: DC Rebirth Suicide Squad. Triangle Spikes, Killer Croc, and super thick Harley Quinn. Like, oh, that book. Oh my god.
The entirety of World War Hulk. World War Hulk.
See, World War Hulk Romita Jr. is Romita Jr. trying. And, like, there's times where or even his early Spider-Man is Romita Jr. trying. But anything else, like he did, Frank Miller's Superman book last year or the year before last. And oh my god.
Here's what you should ask yourself. Here's the real question. When you're reading a comic book and there's dialogue happening, Would you rather look at a Rob Liefeld Wolverine face or any Ramita Jr. face?
No. A Ramita Jr. face on a Liefeld body.
Ah!
Oh god, I just and I feel like the evil trinity of the comic book industry is like Ramita Jr., Liefeld, and J. Scott Campbell. Those like that's like the devil combination right there. But no, like Marvel, for instance, like the big news that came out recently for Marvel books was that a Black Cat is getting her own Iron Man costume, or like somebody else is going to be wearing the Iron Cat suit in a Black Cat Iron Man team up book. Like what? And then like they're making a What If Miles Morales book, and I'm just like, Marvel,
What if Miles Morales got the time of day?
Right. That's the biggest thing right there. And then apparently Janice Vale is coming back in a new Captain Marvel series, and I'm like, huh. So y'all really don't want Carol to do shit now, do you?
They really don't.
Like y'all really don't want Carol to do shit anymore. You're bringing back Janice Vale. Who gives a fuck about Janice Vale? But no, and the thing is, I'm starting to see, and I talked about this with Brandon Thomas before, I'm seeing again this like salvaging of the industry from the indie market, where you see like indie writers trying to make their own content. Boom Studios is cranking out bangers left and right, which I'm like, hell yeah. Vault Comics, and I'm probably gonna start doing some Vault spotlight stuff on the show, trying to get some creators in, because their shit is continuously money, to the point they did an entire book called Money Shot, where it was like people going into space and making porn with aliens, and it sold like gangbusters. Like what? Like they are printing like great books over there, and they need to be highlighted. But Marvel and DC right now, they have no direction. They're very much stuck in this thing of, they know the new generation is coming, but the old generation is still bitching about, like, we don't want the new generation to come. Because, like, now you have recently they announced that Sam Wilson is returning as Captain America, but Steve is also going to be Captain America, and Sam's going to get his own shield, and like that's different from the normal shield. It's going to be like a blue rim and a different kind of star, and like Sam's going to be like street level or some shit, while Steve does bigger shit. Which, if we've read the Heroic Age, we know that doesn't work.
And they're going to retcon Sam to be from Louisiana.
Can I? Okay, we might actually have to edit this part because I'm going to say something, and I don't know if it's beyond the bounds of reason.
I'll go for it. I'll see what happens.
That all kind of sounds like comic book separate but equal.
No, you are absolutely correct. That's the same thing that I've been bitching about for so long. Like, publishers are so scared that the new generation is going to sell poorly because of the old generation bitching, that they're trying to do separate but equal things, like having 2 Spider-Man books of Miles and Peter. Now we're having 2 Captain America books. It's and I'll bet you my bottom dollar that come here at the end of the year when Love and Thunder comes out, you're gonna see Jane Foster walk out of a time warp, or like pick up the hammer again. You know what's gonna happen. So like, it's very obvious that like Marvel was ready for what's currently going on in the movies back during like 2016, 2017, but A, readers were horribly gatekeeping back then, and B, the movies weren't ready for it either. So now we have to play replacements because of it, and it's just, Mary is right. It very much is a separate but equal thing because they're scared of the white people. We're back at that of publishers are scared of white people.
You can't scare the male marauders, bro.
That's even giving them too much credit. They're not scared of them. They're scared of pissing them off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
No, you're right.
As a white people, like, damn.
Well, I mean, Mary, I'm not asking you where you were on January 6th, you know? So I wouldn't worry about you too much.
Right.
I was sitting actually where I am sitting right now, kind of gaping at my television.
That's hilarious.
Okay, I actually have a little surprise that I want to do at the end of the episode.
Okay. But no, that was the one thing we wanted to really highlight. And in terms of the comic industry right now, I think the big and you'll see us develop this conversation, and we're gonna try to get more guests on to talk about it. And you're definitely gonna see us start talking about like what books are worth picking up in the current age. Like, best believe here in a few weeks, I'm probably gonna do a spotlight on a couple different books Image is doing, a couple different books Vault's doing, and Boom are doing, because we want you to enjoy comics. We want you to enjoy what's going on. But I woke up the other day and I saw that Avengers and X-Men are doing another fucking event, and I'm like, what? So I'm very much like,
people don't want anything new. I'm sorry, I'm angry.
No, you're right. Travis, how are you feeling about the comic industry at large right now?
I think they need to figure it the fuck out, if I'm being totally honest. Because, like you said earlier, like, for me personally, like, there was a whole time in my life, because I've been reading nerd shit my whole life, okay? Comics came into the forefront for me, like, probably around when CC was 2, and I started just binging shit. Well, no, a little earlier than that, but when I really got into it was about when CC was 2. But now I'm finding myself switching back over into like manga and manhwa because I'm having a hard time giving a fuck about what's going on in all of these stories. Because not many, like the last one that was really compelling was this Ben Reilly Spider-Man that I was reading a little bit.
Hey Travis, did you see Tom King got a new Batman mini?
I did. And this is one of those things where I'm like, I'm really glad I decided to leave DC like an abusive boyfriend and fucking go to Marvel.
You are stronger than I, Travis.
You're stronger than both of us because I'm still over here.
Fuck that. Tom King was the knife in my liver.
Barry, you are much more educated than the both of us. We need your guidance on the industry as a whole.
Honestly, I haven't looked at the dime numbers in a little while, but I'm willing to bet that it's still trying to recover from COVID. Because comics, at the end of the day, are a luxury item. And luxuries are the first thing that get cut when you've got bills to pay. Unless you have really screwed up priorities. But, so no, when the pandemic first hit and people started losing their jobs and losing their homes, like, sales plummeted quite, unsurprisingly, I would say. And I think the industry is in shock, and that's why I think they're just throwing everything at the wall to try and see what sticks. And that doesn't make for a good framework. I think both companies need to pick something and stick with it and build something new from there. Like, I don't know. It's just there's so much coming from so many different directions that none of it makes sense. Like, we're getting future Justice League over here, but over here we have to have the Avengers and the X-Men, have another event because they did one a while ago and people seem to like it. And it's just, I don't know. Have you ever, no, let me put it this way. That GIF from, I think it's Community, of the guy walking into the room with pizza boxes and and the room's on fire.
Yes.
Yeah, Donald Glover, yeah.
The worst universe. The worst universe.
That is me walking, like, looking into the comics industry right now.
Oof.
Okay, for anyone who's seen the show Community, Mary right now is Jeff without an arm yelling at Aaaaand to get back to reality.
Honestly. Like, it very much is that situation. And I agree with her, because it's very much like, and like, it's the same situation we talked about before of why you see creators fleeing to Substack and like trying to make their own comics. And I think that's a great idea for them to keep on thriving. It's the same reason why you see DC and Marvel just trying to act as if nothing happened with the pandemic and just keep on existing. But to be honest, I think both of them need to just nuke their universes and start from scratch, or do what DC tried to do with like teasing Future State and just do Future State as your new like initiative. Like if I swear,
it was so fucking messy. Like I'm
But,
talking
like,
organizationally and release wise. Like I'm
Right,
sitting here
right.
shaking my head.
right, like I'm of a firm belief, if after the deal left, if we would have just time jumped and said yo, Future State Justice League is here, like Jace Fox is Batman, we like tell a story of what happened with the Titans Academy. We don't do what they did with Titans Academy in Future State. We act like the Shazam demon thing. We actually tell a compelling story about the new generation of Teen Titans and make it like the X-Men kind of thing. You actually tell a compelling narrative with that. You actually have a new generation of heroes for 2022 and make it worth people like to give a damn. But for Marvel, you should dead ass just be like, yo, nuke the whole universe, start over from scratch, or do a time skip, or like even rewind the clock and say, yo, like Sam's here, Kate Bishop's here, yada yada. Like tell the modern version of like say like ultimate it, but like time skip it in a way where it makes sense. Like Steve's retired as like the director of Shield. Like you actually have legacy characters being where they're supposed to be. Like I remember at the end of Tom Taylor's run of Wolverine, you saw that super on like futuristic world where like
Laura.
Yeah, old woman Laura, where like she's like retired in Madripoor, and like you saw Honey Badger as Wolverine doing her thing with like laser claws and shit. And I'm like, we don't even need that. Just time jump like 5, 6, 7 years and have them be the mainline superheroes. Like I don't need no crazy bullshit. Just like retire some of the white folks, move in some new people, get on with our lives, and it's good. Tell new stories, tell new innovative stories, and move on with your lives. But they can't do it. It breaks my heart. But I don't know. We're definitely going to be in the next few weeks. Like next week, we're going to be having some guests talk about the Batman. I'm actually excited for the Batman. Originally, I was like, I don't give a fuck. But then somebody piped up on Twitter and said it's better than Dark Knight Rises, and I was like, well, as someone who vehemently hates Dark Knight Rises, that piques my interest.
I'm glad you're finally on the Battinson kick. Finally.
I'm on the Battinson kick. I think what like, because I remember when we talked about DC Fandom, I think it was the Batmobile scene where like he straight up is chasing Penguin and like the whole car flips over and like he's walking towards him with the fire in the background. I was like, all right. Okay, I'll fuck with it. So, and then there's like rumors that the court's gonna be in the sequel. So I'm like, okay. So, I'm excited for then. We're definitely gonna start having more issues, more spotlights, because I want to talk about good comic books. Damn it, like there are good stories coming out right now. That's why we did the Brandon Thomas coverage before, and we're gonna start doing more stuff. And best believe, when it comes to apparently this entire panel is queer now. I didn't get the memo, but whatever. We're gonna be definitely doing more queer content because it's something that me and Mary wanted to do for a while. So get ready, motherfuckers. Travis, what is your closing statement? Actually, no. We not yet. Mary, you had a closing thing. What is your closing thing?
Yes, I did. I've been straightening up the bottomless pit of hell that is my desk, and I found something.
Oh dear.
So we'll alternate between the two of you. You have to pick who goes first, okay?
Okay.
So who's going first?
Travis, go first.
Okay, James, you're going first?
I said Travis go first.
How you gonna volunteer me?
It's funny. Also,
Okay.
I talk too much.
And you can be as ridiculous or saucy with this as you want, but Travis, give me an occupation.
What do you mean? What?
I found a book of Mad Libs and I make you do a damn Mad Lib.
A Mad Lib? What the fuck?
All right. right?
No, because if anything, we should do what the good opinion thing. Because the good opinion thing, man, says we're not gonna do Mad Libs. What the fuck?
James, it's a DC Mad Lib.
Oh, okay, fine. This will be funny.
So, Travis, give me an occupation.
Shit. I'm on the spot now.
Okay, nope. I'm just gonna put shit as
pirate.
the occupation.
Pirate captain.
Okay. Pirate. All right, James, I need an adjective.
Adjective. Saucy.
Plural noun, Travis.
I wasn't prepared for this.
Jars.
Jars. And James, you being unprepared is kind of the point of this.
I'm so concerned.
Adjective. James, you.
Crap. Aggressively.
Aggressively. Okay. And now, the rule that Victoria and I follow is that one word has to be penis.
What?
So, that's what Victoria and I do. We actually used it as an adverb once. It was penisly. And
What?
there's one we did in the book where every word is just like penis.
There's of all the odd
Because-
places to put a penis.
Yeah.
I'm so concerned.
I cannot be trusted with this.
No, you cannot.
All right,
Okay.
what's the verb?
Verb ending in ing from Travis.
A verb ending in ing. Smoking.
Just have the
We're not
mask
done
stuck in my head.
Smoking.
James, I need James, I need a noun.
Up.
Did you guys kick me off the call?
No, I
So
said
you're
cup.
still here.
What did you say, James?
I said cup.
Cup.
Yes.
Plural noun from Travis.
Oh, plural noun.
This is weird radio.
Rocks. This is very weird radio.
Adjective from James.
Adjective, Jesus. Moisturized.
Moisturized.
Yes.
Okay. Moisturizes.
You can use that as an adjective, right?
I think that's technically a verb.
No, because something can look moisturized.
We'll go for it.
Yeah, why not?
I need. There's two more left. Travis, I need an article of clothing, and James, you get another noun.
Do-rag.
Tree.
Bag. And tree. Okay.
I'm so concerned.
You should be. Okay, this one is called Danger Zone. All right, you ready? The citizens of Metropolis had to run for their lives when the escaped Phantom Zone pirate captain Jax came to Earth to use his saucy powers to smash jars and destroy buildings. Aha, I'm from the planet Krypton and I have the same I have the same aggressive powers as Superman, but he's off smoking in outer space, so there's no one on Earth to stop me. Then Jaxer turned his glowing penis on the Daily Planet building.
In the fuck. Saucy powers indeed.
And on the Daily Planet building and said, "Look what happens when I use my cup of shit on Superman's best rocks." Before Jax could destroy buildings, Superman appeared in front of him and pulled out a moisturized device from under his do-rag. He used the device to make Jaxer surrender and save the city. Sorry it took me so long to get here, but I had to make a quick stop at the Fortress of Tree to pick up the Phantom Zone projector. I needed to send Jaxer back where he belongs.
Yo.
That was stupid, pointless, and totally worth it.
Some of it connected in the weirdest places too. Superman smoking and then having to go to the Fortress of Tree has me fucked up.
And the fact that he pulled out a moisturized device from under his do-rag.
Yeah, that's got me fucked up too.
Okay, well, that like if you haven't been watching this, if you haven't listened to the show before, this has been a fun episode, folks. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, basically anywhere you listen to a podcast besides not Spotify. We are on Spotify. Anywhere you listen to a podcast besides SoundCloud, we are there because fuck SoundCloud. And then also follow us on Twitter at PTP_podcast. And you can follow us where Ian and Mary post various interesting things, apparently. And we will definitely be back next week with a brand new episode with some awesome guests. Travis, what is your closing statement for this episode of Panel to Panel?
James ain't killed the Weeping Peninsula's final boss in Elden Ring yet.
I actually have, thank you very much. Motherfucker, that weird-ass lion thing, and then you get the weird-ass sword of swords, so yeah.
The Iron Throne sword.
Yeah, literally, it's the Iron Throne sword. Trying to call me out, bitch. I'm farther than you. Anyway.
Hey, he ain't fought no bosses in Caelid either.
I ran away from Caelid because I got stuck in the blood swamp, and that shit was terrifying. So you can have that one. Mary, what is your closing statement for this episode?
I made you do a Mad Lib. I don't think I need to give a closing statement.
Do what anyway.
No regrets on the Mad Lib. It was stupid, pointless, and completely worthless. Completely worth it.
Okay. My closing statement, as always, is support your local comic book shop. Get ready for more content. We will be busting our asses to give you something worth listening to every week. So we will catch you folks next time, right here at Panel to Panel. Peace out.